Customers Matter is a podcast about customer-centred, omni-channel marketing in an age of digital disruption, mobility, and the Internet of Things. It's hosted by John O'Neill, a management consultant and founding owner of Commotion, an agency specialising in customer experience design and delivery.
I'm sitting here today with Balder Toll, who is the Director of Community for Australia for one of the world's fastest growing companies, a company called WeWork. WeWork is a $16 billion business after just 7 years of operation, founded in 2010. It provides shared office space to more than 90,000 people in 30 different cities at 120 different buildings. It's a remarkable story. It includes the building we're sitting here today at 100 Harris Street in Sydney. And Balder has just been awarded globally for his community management efforts, and I'm really looking forward to having him explain a bit about WeWork on Customers Matter. Welcome, Balder.
Thank you for having me, John.
So before we get to the business that is WeWork, you've made a career in the shared economy, and I'm really interested to understand a little bit about how you came to be in Australia from your native, the Netherlands, and how you came to be involved with Airbnb and subsequently with the business that is owned by the guys who run Airtasker in Australia.
Yes, it's well, a bit of background. So my background is in hospitality in the Netherlands. I completed a bachelor in business administration of hospitality management, and that really set the groundwork of a hospitality focus with a business management degree. Now, following my degree, I was going to do my master's in international business management at the Erasmus in Rotterdam, although I could start in Sydney 3 weeks later. So I made my way to Sydney, completed my Master of Management degree at the University of Sydney, after which I ran into recruiters for a company called Airbnb. It was a very interesting discussion around community building within the shared economy, and they hired me as their first employee here in Australia. So that was the first time I really started to build communities both online and offline. I was lucky enough to be part of the founding team here in Australia, and we grew Airbnb significantly over time. Following that, it was the founders of Airtasker that took roughly 700 square meters of CBD office space and asked me to run the operations, as they were obviously involved with a company called Airtasker. That set the groundworks of a CBD-focused co-working space for startups where community is central. So together we built the co-working space to up to 350 members over the course of 4 years. And in May last year, I joined WeWork as their Director of Community for Australia.
So tell me a little bit about what WeWork is, the model and how it works. Obviously I have a bit of insight being a member of your business model, but I think a lot of people will be very interested to understand what it is and how it operates.
Yeah, so WeWork is really a platform for creators. Our mission is to create a world where people create a life and not just a living. With that in mind, the member experience in any WeWork location is central for our operations. So if you look at the company that is WeWork, we really provide beautifully designed office space, services, and a global community.
I mean, the thing that blows away the old service office space model, I think, is the way in which the culture is brought to the table. Can you tell me what you do to create culture? I noticed, for instance, that the women who work on the desk when you arrive, you don't refer to them as receptionists, they're community managers.
Correct. So everything is focused around community. And that comes from one of our founders who grew up in the kibbutz, which is a collective community focused on agriculture in Israel. And it is based around the idea that you can achieve more together than when you are alone. And that is core into what is WeWork and what they do. So we have our community team that are the heart and soul of our operations. And the community managers are not just there to provide assistance when you have visitors or that everything works in the space, but they're part therapists, they help on a lifestyle level, on a business level, and are really there to facilitate meaningful connections between different companies and all of our members locally in the space, but globally through the technology as well.
So I think one thing that blew my staff away, first of all, every Monday there's thank God it's Monday free breakfast. Often members of the businesses in the community of WeWork are running presentations, and those presentations are usually catered so you can wander out, hear something interesting. There's free beer on tap after 2 o'clock every day, which is quite extraordinary. There are pets in the building. I saw a dad asleep with his baby on a beanbag.
That sounds like the perfect environment here in WeWork. So WeWork is redefining success, and it is measured by personal fulfillment. Across the globe, we see a macro shift in how the world of work is changing, and it's changing towards a more meaningful life. With that, we try to create a culture that supports not only the business founders by meaningful interactions on a business level, but by supporting all the employees in creating the best office environment you can find. So we do that through a number of different ways. You mentioned the beer. People are always surprised about that, but it is really that we see our members as adults, and the beer is there to make those connections outside of the private office environment. Now, the community team does a whole range in terms of our programming. So we do something every day for our members. If I run you through a general week, we celebrate the Mondays, both for our members and for our employees as well. So TGIM, thank God it's Monday. We welcome everyone on a Monday morning with full breakfast in the space. Then on a Tuesday, it tends to be more business focused. On a Wednesday, it is Wellness Wednesday, and that is something we do globally as well. We provide masseuses, we have nail salons, there's running groups, anything that has to do with wellness and mindfulness. On Thursdays, again, it's a lot more business focused, and on Friday, it is happy hour, and you got to finish the week with a drink.
Fantastic, and I think one of the other things that strikes me in terms of the core business model, I'm leasing some dedicated space. It's much smaller than the space and probably more expensive, frankly, per square metre than the space I've come from. However, there's a ton of communal space, and people tend to be thrust into almost the lounge of what feels like a bit of a groovy hotel. And this is quite deliberate, I think, Paul. It's both a good commercial model, but I think you've deliberately engineered a lot of communal space.
It is the communal spaces that really act as an engagement platform for all of our members to come together. So our communal spaces, there is a lot of thought that goes into the design of these areas because they inspire collaboration between all of our members. So where your private space might be a little bit smaller than you're used to, you actually gain a whole range of different facilities and amenities that increase your work-life balance. So with that in mind, you mentioned cost, but if you actually factor in all the different services and amenities, we tend to be cheaper on an annual basis than your traditional lease. And comparisons and research showed that that can actually be a reduction of $2,000 to $3,000 on an annual basis per employee.
And can you talk a bit about the way the role that you have works? What do you actually do on a day-to-day basis, and what surprised you about what you're doing compared with what you might have imagined?
Well, what I do on a day-to-day basis is different every day. It really runs on what the day brings, what we can organize for our members. But as director of community, I make sure that our members have the best possible experience day to day in any of our locations here in Australia. So I work intensely with our team of community managers that are on site every single day to make sure our members get the best experience.
So how do you motivate that team, and what are the tricks of the trade? How are you getting these guys to be, because they are absolutely ebullient. They're terrific team members you've got here who make everyone feel welcome and excited by what they're doing. But how do you instill that in them?
So it starts with the hiring process. We are looking for self-starters with an entrepreneurial spirit, people that can solve problems on the spot in front of members, but mainly create the best experience possible. So it is really those extrovert personalities that bring that quality for our members. And that's sometimes a little bit harder to find, especially in a new market, but we've seen a huge interest in the positions here available, because the experience we create for our members, we create for our employees as well. And that is, we do team meetings on a Monday, but with full dinner to really set us up for a great week for the team. But on a global level, we have summer camp, where we not only invite our employees for a 3-day summer camp experience, but that is mixed with our members as well. Again, to create that interaction on a global level.
Now, you've just won an award, a global award in the WeWork business. Can you tell me what you won and how you were selected for this award?
It is called an Employee of Excellence award. It was awarded to me, but it is really team effort. In Australia, we've seen that the WeWork model has been very well received. Over the course of the last 4 months, we have over 1,600 members that joined our global community, and that in a new market has been a great achievement for us here in Australia. So that award was a recognition not just for me, but for the entire team and the relentless energy they put in their day-to-day work life here in Australia.
So the other thing that might surprise people about the business model is that it truly is joining a global community. And so my financial controller worked from 3 different WeWork spaces in London on 3 different days, because as a member I get a certain number of credits, and I can choose to use those credits to take a hot desk in another building in another city. It's a remarkable kind of concept, and has that been something that has been important?
Yeah, hugely important. Not only to create flexibility for our members to not be solely limited to one location, but our members now have access to over 120 locations in the world that they can call home. So this makes making valuable connections in those locations, but mainly to create flexibility for travel, international expansion on a business level, but again, to make international connections that can actually help you. And the best example that we have here in Sydney is that even before we opened a location, a member joined us. And the moment they join us, they can get access to our members network, which is the digital platform that really connects members internationally. He posted that one of his newly hired employees was actually stuck in London and had some immigration issues. We put the platform to the test, and we posted on the members network a question if there were any immigration lawyers in London. 35 minutes later, we had a response from an immigration lawyer. An hour and a half later, they met up in a WeWork in London, and 2 hours later, that entire problem was solved. And that he couldn't have imagined a quicker resolution to that issue other than being part of the global WeWork network.
So it is important, and maybe just you could explain a little more about the WeWork app, because in some ways I see this almost as it's almost like you've manifested LinkedIn physically as well as virtually. But how was the app conceived, and what's the role of technology in your disruption model?
Yeah, so technology is obviously a huge part of what we do here at WeWork, and that comes through that global connectivity. So we don't only want to create very strong communities on a local level within the space, but connect all of our 100,000 members in the world. And you do that through technology. So we've created a members platform that not only allows our members to directly reach out to any other company within the WeWork community, but to steer business opportunities and business development opportunities to the businesses as well. So automatically when joining WeWork, you create a company profile that allows you to create more visibility on the digital platform. And because we're all part of the We generation in that global community, you feel that there's a certain level of trust and connectivity and more willingness for members to help each other out, whether that is on a financial transaction or on goodwill. It is really that platform that allows members to find each other in an easy way.
And how are customer expectations driving the way in which a business like yours operates?
Yeah, so obviously members come in with an idea of office space, and quite quickly they realize it's so much more than just an office space. It is truly the service and member experience that they receive every single day. And well, you're a member, so if you remember your first day at WeWork, we welcomed you with mimosas and a tour of the business. So it is truly a different experience that adds to your daily life. So we tend to exceed member expectations on a daily basis.
I mean, in some respects, the way I look at it is that you've identified how important culture is for organisations, for small companies and large. And to some extent, you're not just providing space, you're providing what might be seen as value-adding HR.
Correct. And that goes a lot further than just the office space. So if we look at our network in the United States at the moment, our services part is a huge value add for all of our members. So we provide HR services, payroll services, there's even health insurance. And obviously we're planning to roll that out on a global level as well.
Just speaking about the growth of the company, can you tell me how quickly it's growing and what are your forward plans in Australia?
Yeah, so if we look at 2016, we actually doubled in size. 2016 was a great year. We've added 58 locations in 18 new cities and 6 new countries. We have a very, very quick growth expansion plan, and in Australia it's been so well received that obviously we're expanding into multiple cities as well. So this morning we've announced our expansion into Melbourne later this year.
Fantastic. Finally, Walter, any tips for businesses who are trying to survive in the share economy? Obviously the landscape is profoundly disruptive and disrupting. What would you say, having now spent time working inside the share economy, what do you think it means for traditional businesses, and what should they be thinking about as they navigate the changing world around them?
Well, I mean, there's a complete shift in multiple industries, and it is a shift and almost a revolution that people want to own less and experience more. And you see that in the models of Airbnb, WeWork, and a lot more different industries. So I would definitely take that into consideration when you're expanding your business. And I think it is, a more connected world as well. So the more valuable connections you make on a day-to-day basis, the more a measurement for success you actually have.
Walter, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your time with us.
Thanks, John.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Customers Matter. We encourage you to subscribe and, if you like it, rate and review it. Head over to commotion.com/podcast. That's KOMOSION.com/podcast.